This is 55 feet, right?
Yes, sir.
So close to that depth, and we were drilling, we hit a void in this area. So just a heads up.
Wow, heads up. Surprise, surprise, man.
Surprise, surprise.
For more than 2 centuries, the legend of Oak Island has refused to die. Men have risked fortunes. Teams have rebuilt after collapses. Generations have grown up hearing whispers about a hidden vault beneath the soil of Nova Scotia. Each season promises the same thing. This could be the one that changes everything. But season 13 didn't just chase the mystery. It questioned it. Because in the final stretch of the season, something happened that didn't feel like another clue. It felt like a correction. Not a wild theory, not internet speculation. A real, documented moment, buried in the data, easy to miss, but impossible to ignore. New drilling results revealed underground formations aligned with a precision no natural process could easily explain. The location, an area long believed to be irrelevant. Marty stared at the printouts, unusually quiet. That doesn't happen by accident. Rick studied the alignment again, his voice lower than usual. No, that's intentional. And then came the realization that changed everything. The structure below didn't resemble a treasure vault. It didn't match the design of storage chambers built for gold or silver. Instead, its layout echoed fortified defensive systems used in old European military engineering. That's when the real question surfaced. What if Oak Island was never built to hide treasure? What if it was constructed to guard something? Not wealth, not artifacts, but something important enough and dangerous enough to justify centuries of silence. By the time you reach the end of season 13, you might not just see progress. You might see the moment the entire mystery turned in a different direction. If you're obsessed with hidden history, untold secrets, and game-changing discoveries, make sure to subscribe now and turn on notifications, because the next revelation could drop at any moment. Maybe it didn't fail to deliver answers. Maybe it revealed they've been searching in the wrong place all along. Season 13 opened with a noticeably different energy on Oak Island. The atmosphere wasn't just hopeful, it was intense. Part excitement, part pressure. The kind of pressure that builds when you truly believe you're inches away from rewriting history. For more than 2 centuries, treasure hunters have felt that same magnetic pull toward this island. After last season's confusing, yet undeniably promising, discoveries in the tangled tunnels surrounding the legendary Money Pit, especially near the shaft known as Tat-1, one thing became clear. Repeating the same strategy would not be enough. This time, the stakes felt different. Rick Lagina stood at the center of it all, driven by belief, by instinct, by a relentless curiosity that refuses to fade. For Rick, this has never been just about treasure. It's about solving a story that history left unfinished. Beside him, Marty Lagina remained the counterbalance, analytical, strategic, methodical. If Rick is the heart of the hunt, Marty is the mind that keeps it grounded. And in season 13, both heart and mind began pointing in a direction no one fully expected. They agreed on one thing. It was time to go deeper. "This is the moment," Marty said firmly. "We expand the search area. Bigger equipment, smarter technology. No more half measures." Rick nodded. "The island has given us pieces of the puzzle. Now we need to find the center." The focus remained on the legendary Money Pit, a place that has swallowed millions of dollars and countless dreams, yet still seems to whisper secrets from centuries past. Some believe those secrets may date back to the early medieval period, maybe even earlier. To reach unprecedented depths, they introduced a new shaft. They named it Cerberus, after the mythical three-headed guardian of the underworld. Jack laughed when he heard it. So basically, we're knocking on the underworld's front door. Marty smiled. Pretty much. But Cerberus wasn't just another attempt, like Tatwan. It was larger, reinforced, and engineered to descend deeper than any previous excavation. Advanced casing systems were installed to battle the unstable, shifting soil that had defeated so many operations before. This time, Marty said early in the season, a rare spark in his voice, we're not just testing, we're finishing this. But the opening weeks proved anything but easy. The ground fought back, equipment strained, progress slowed. And once again, Oak Island reminded them that it does not give up its secrets without resistance. And that's when everything started to change. Bucket after bucket rose from the depths, thick mud, heavy clay, broken debris, and fragments left behind by searchers from decades past. Every load was spread out and examined with precision. Gary Drayton hovered over each pile, sweeping his metal detector slowly back and forth, waiting for that unmistakable tone. Come on, give me something good, Gary would whisper under his breath. Let's hear that top pocket signal. Some days, the machine stayed silent, and when it did, the energy dropped with it. Then disaster struck. Without warning, water surged into the Cerberus shaft, flooding the excavation and forcing an immediate shutdown. Pumps roared around the clock, fighting to reclaim control. The team could only stand by and watch their hard-earned progress stall. It's like the island pushes back every time we get close, Jack Begley said, drenched in mud from head to toe. Even his trademark optimism sounded thinner than usual. Rick stood quietly, gazing across the site. Or maybe, he said slowly, it's protecting something. That was the moment the new drilling data arrived. Fresh underground scans revealed those strange formations once again. Symmetrical, precise, almost architectural in nature. These weren't random sinkholes or collapsed tunnels. These were structured spaces. Marty laid the diagrams out across the table. Look at the angles. Look at the spacing, he said firmly. This isn't how you design a treasure vault. Rick studied the layout carefully. It's defensive. Silence filled the room. If Oak Island wasn't built to hide wealth, but to safeguard something, then the entire narrative shifts. Every shaft, every theory, every dollar spent. Season 13 may not have revealed a chest overflowing with gold, but it may have uncovered something far more significant. The possibility that they've misunderstood the island from the very beginning. And if that's true, the real question isn't what's buried there. It's why it was guarded so carefully in the first place. During the toughest stretches of the season, when the mud felt heavier than ever, the pumps thundered endlessly, and exhaustion showed on every face, Rick's quiet conviction kept the team grounded. He would often stand at the edge of the Cerberus shaft, hands tucked into his pockets, staring down into the darkness, as if listening for something unseen. One day Jack nudged him playfully. Waiting for it to talk back, Rick? Rick gave a faint smile. It already is. We just need to pay attention. And then, through the cold, the fatigue, the relentless grind, the island seemed to respond. Gary was scanning yet another mound of damp soil when he suddenly froze. Whoa. That's not iron, he said, crouching down carefully. From the earth emerged an oddly shaped metal artifact, aged green with oxidation, clearly crafted with skill and intention. It wasn't gold, it wasn't a coin, it wasn't even something easily recognizable. But it mattered. Emma Culligan later analyzed the soil layer where it was found and dated it back to the late 1600s. Gary held it up, eyes gleaming. "This isn't treasure," he said with a grin, "but it tells a story." And that was the breakthrough. The object suggested that someone with advanced metalworking knowledge, far more skilled than early treasure hunters, had once operated on the island. Whoever made this, Marty said thoughtfully, knew exactly what they were doing. Soon after, another discovery followed. Deep within undisturbed clay, the team uncovered carefully shaped wooden beams. These weren't crude reinforcements left behind by modern diggers. They appeared deliberate, engineered, part of a much larger design. When the carbon dating results were revealed in the war room, the atmosphere shifted instantly. The wood could predate the documented 1795 discovery of the Money Pit by centuries. Craig leaned back slowly. So, someone was constructing something down there long before the first recorded search. Rick let out a quiet breath. That changes everything. Back in the war room, the mood changed instantly. This wasn't the dramatic storybook moment Rick had imagined for years. There was no overflowing chest of gold coins, no glittering pile of treasure. But what they had was something just as powerful. With every new discovery, the timeline kept stretching further into the past. Piece by piece, the history of Oak Island was being pushed back, long before modern treasure hunters ever set foot there. Marty, now more convinced than ever that something extraordinary had taken place on the island centuries ago, locked eyes with Rick. No words were needed. They both felt it. They were getting closer. And yet, it still felt like a build-up, like the island was about to reveal something far greater. Cerberus had to go deeper. After years of working side by side, the team shared the same instinct. The earlier finds now seemed like breadcrumbs, subtle clues pointing towards something much larger still hidden below. Then Season 13 shifted into overdrive. Cerberus, nicknamed the Caisson by the crew, pushed beyond 200 feet. At that depth, they weren't just drilling through soil anymore. They were penetrating ancient bedrock. Territory that felt older, untouched, almost unfamiliar. That's when everything changed. Advanced sonic drilling scans detected something unusual. Not the twisting water channels they'd come to expect. Not natural solution cavities. Not solid limestone either. This was different. A void. A defined, nearly rectangular empty space, buried beneath everything they had explored before. Dr. Ian Spooner studied the data carefully. His eyes narrowed. "This is new," he said slowly. "It doesn't appear natural." The room tightened. "It looks engineered." Silence fell. Rick leaned toward the monitor, eyes locked on the underground imaging. Marty exchanged a charged look with Craig Tester. No hesitation. "Lower the fiber optic camera," Marty ordered. This wasn't standard equipment. The camera system had been specially designed to withstand crushing pressure and transmit clear footage from extreme depths. It took days to prepare. Every cable inspected, every seal double-checked. Alex Lagina stood beside the drilling crew as they carefully guided the camera down through the darkness of Cerberus. At first, the monitor showed murky water swirling at the base of the shaft. Then it passed through debris, and then open space, not collapse, not rubble, a chamber. Whispers spread across the war room as the lights illuminated something undeniable. The walls were not rough limestone. They were lined with smooth, dark stone slabs, precisely cut and tightly fitted together. Doug Kroll stared at the screen. "That's not local island rock," he murmured. "Where did that even come from?" The surfaces appeared polished, almost reflective. As the camera slowly rotated, another detail emerged. Embedded in one wall was a large, circular metal disc. Its surface was etched with intricate swirling engravings, symbols unlike any familiar alphabet. The metal wasn't bright, like gold or silver. It was dark, dense, almost absorbing the light around it. "Is that writing?" Jack whispered. Emma studied it closely. "No," she said quietly. "It's something else." Beneath the disc, carved into a massive stone block, were clearer markings, crosses, celestial symbols resembling stars and planets, and what looked remarkably like a simple map. The room went completely still. Rick reached out and gripped Marty's shoulder, his voice barely steady. "Tell me we're really seeing this." For once, no one had a quick explanation, because whatever this was, it was bigger than treasure. "This is bigger than treasure," Rick said softly. The words hung heavy in the air. And for once, Marty didn't counter with skepticism. No financial breakdown, no cautious reality check. He just stared at the screen. "Yeah," he finally admitted, "it is." The footage was immediately sent to a carefully selected group of experts around the world, specialists in ancient construction, metallurgy, and symbolic languages. Within days, the responses began coming in, and they were staggering. First conclusion: the chamber was undeniably man-made. It was constructed with intention, one structural historian explained during a video call. This wasn't accidental. It was built to last. The stone lining the chamber walls was likely basalt, a volcanic rock not native to Nova Scotia. Marty raised an eyebrow. "So someone transported volcanic rock to this island centuries ago." "By sea," Craig added, "and with serious planning." That alone was extraordinary. Then came the analysis of the circular disc. Metallurgists suggested it might be composed of a rare alloy, possibly electrum or even tumbaga, materials historically used for ceremonial or symbolic objects in certain medieval and even pre-Columbian cultures. Gary blinked. "So, not pirate treasure?" Emma shook her head. "Not unless pirates were experts in advanced metallurgy." But just as the team leaned further into the mystery, something happened that none of them would ever forget. As the fiber optic camera descended deeper into the chamber, the live feed suddenly cut to black. Static filled the screen. No image, no movement, just noise. 3 painfully long minutes passed. "Did we lose it?" Alex asked. "System failure," Marty muttered, already thinking about pressure points and cable stress. Jack was halfway to grabbing a harness. "If something collapsed down there—" "Hold on," someone said sharply. Then the image flickered and returned, clearer than before. A collective breath swept through the room. Rick leaned back slowly. "It's almost like—" He paused, searching for the words. "Like the island had to decide whether to let us see it." No one laughed, because in that moment, it didn't feel like a vault. It felt like a message, a deliberate structure, a sealed statement, left behind for someone, someday, to discover. "This isn't about coins or jewels," Emma said quietly. "This feels like preserved knowledge," and almost naturally, one word began circulating again. Templars. The discovery sent shockwaves far beyond Oak Island. Historians, researchers, and longtime followers of the mystery leaned in. The final weeks of the season blurred together. Non-stop research sessions, expert consultations, and sleepless nights, fueled by caffeine and adrenaline. Because if this wasn't treasure, then what exactly had they just uncovered? Ultra-clear images of the carvings and the mysterious metal disc were transmitted to experts thousands of miles away. On Oak Island, Emma and Laird Niven carefully compared the symbols to markings linked with medieval builders and alchemists. Rick immersed himself in ancient manuscripts, turning fragile pages, late into the night. "Find anything?" Marty would ask. Rick would pause. "Maybe, or maybe I just want it to mean something." Then came the moment that changed everything. Late one night in the war room during a live video call, Dr. Finch suddenly leaned toward his camera, eyes wide with realization. "I see it," he said urgently. "This isn't a traditional language. It's encoded symbolic shorthand." Everyone straightened in their seats. These patterns align with imagery connected to a lesser-known Templar faction, the Order of the Sacred Covenant. The room fell still. Historical fragments suggest this offshoot may have scattered with sacred artifacts and sensitive documents after the suppression of the Knights Templar in 1307. "Templars," Rick whispered under his breath. Dr. Finch began sharing comparison images from recently digitized medieval church archives in Portugal and Scotland. "These carvings," he explained, "map celestial positions. This is an astronomical chart." Emma's eyes widened. "A star map?" "Yes," Finch confirmed. "And the metal disc isn't treasure. It's functional. Possibly part of an astronomical instrument, like an astrolabe, or even a key used to interpret the carved chart." Silence wrapped around the room. "So the chamber," Marty said slowly, "wasn't storing wealth. It was protecting knowledge," Finch replied. That realization reframed everything. If correct, Season 13 hadn't simply uncovered a hidden chamber beneath the money pit. It had revealed purpose. Dr. Finch's tone grew heavier. "This chamber was never meant to hold gold," Dr. Finch said softly. "It's a signal, a waypoint, built to survive centuries, built to guide future seekers towards something far more important than treasure." Rick's eyes remained fixed on the glowing monitor, its light reflecting in stunned silence. "So, the real treasure," Jack whispered. "Was never treasure," Marty finished quietly. For the first time, the team wasn't chasing gold. They were chasing meaning. Dr. Finch adjusted his glasses and zoomed in on the carved stone pattern displayed on the screen. A repeating symbol covered the inner wall. Precise, intentional. "Do you see this?" It was a distinct cross, enclosed within the outline of a small structure. "That," Finch continued, "appears in certain records linked to the Knights Templar. It's known as a sanctuary mark, a symbol representing a final refuge, a protected resting place." The air in the war room felt heavier. "Now think about the year 1307, Finch said carefully. Everyone in the war room knew that date, 1307, the year Philip IV of France ordered the mass arrest of the Knights Templar. Thousands were imprisoned, many were interrogated. An order that once rivaled kings was shattered almost overnight. Official history says that was the end. But legend tells a very different story. On the eve of the arrests, a fleet of Templar ships is believed to have quietly departed from the port of La Rochelle, slipping into the Atlantic darkness without warning. They weren't fleeing empty-handed. Whispers speak of sacred texts, priceless relics, hidden archives. Knowledge considered too powerful to fall into the wrong hands. Some believe whatever left that harbor was never recovered, never recorded, and never meant to resurface. And that's where the connection becomes impossible to ignore. Because if something valuable or dangerous crossed the Atlantic in 1307, then maybe Oak Island wasn't chosen at random. Maybe it was selected, prepared, engineered, not to hide treasure, but to protect a secret powerful enough to survive 7 centuries. And if Season 13 has taught us anything, it's this. The story may be far bigger than gold. If you want to follow every twist, every theory, and every breakthrough as this mystery unfolds, make sure to subscribe now and turn on notifications, because the next discovery could change the entire narrative overnight.